Good evening, everyone. Hope you had an enriching day with the insightful keynote session and exciting interactions and discussions at our forum. Now it's time for the grand finale for day one. And while I can't reveal the surprise for the evening, there's someone who can. Please welcome Mr. Sachin Jain to your screen to bring forth the entertainment for the evening.
My dear friends, it's an honor and pleasure for me to welcome you yet again at the 9th Annual Forevermark Forum. And as I said, for the first time virtually in this life. And the fact that we've been talking since morning, in the keynote sessions that we had in the morning about what diamonds really do, what they mean. And we have enough reason to be hopeful for not just the season ahead of us, but also the long-term perspective that the diamonds and our business really brings on the table. We've also seen what meaningful tomorrows really looks like. And I would urge yet again that all of you need to sketch it as to what is your meaningful tomorrow going to look like. Sketch it, paste it on the wall that you see every day, and really make that happen. It's our chance. And let's not give in to the whole negativity that's happening around. And as all of you are aware that at the forum, while we look at the future, something that's not 100% certain, something that we unfold, but into the future, and we all get together over the years physically. This time it's virtual. But our evenings are always a lot of fun. We groove together, we sing together, we hold hands together, we really make some memorable moments together. And I'm just honored today that in this whole virtual world, we're still trying to do whatever best we really can. And today we have amongst us and with us a very fine person, someone who I really follow in all his music, all his cinema work. Something I'm really a big fan of is Mr. Farhan Akhtar. He's joined us today, and ladies and gentlemen, please join me to give a big round of applause and welcome him on our virtual stage, Mr. Farhan Akhtar.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Farhan. Thanks for being here. It's an honor and a privilege for all of us in the diamond business to have you here.
No, thank
How
you.
have you
The
been,
honor is all
Farhan?
mine.
Great. And Farhan, we I'm sure from the time we finally got your yes that you were able to make for our session today, the amount of curiosity, excitement across the industry has been quite a lot of fun. And I would like to tell you that we do hold this forum, this platform, which has become a very important part of our industry. And at De Beers, we bring in a bit of futurism, a bit of doing things correctly, transparency, a millennial consumer, but also, as I said, is melting pot for having fun, bringing that energy together. And I'm so glad that you're with us. And the excitement of everybody to see your performance, which you're going to be doing just now. But it's also great that you agreed to actually have a little chit chat with us. So thank you for that. And I'm holding this iPad because I will bring up all the questions that our audience brings in, and my role will be really to pass them on to you. And I think the context of today would really be about your music, about your work, something that excites you. And as I was talking to you before, I'm not the most qualified person on music, but I'm certainly a big fan. So my questions will come from a hat of a fan. So I hope you don't sort of mind it and give us some more insights on the things that I might not know.
I must tell you, if anybody tells you they know everything about music, any musician as well, I don't think they're telling the truth. All of us are fans. That's the reason we do what we do. So, please don't feel even remotely shy or embarrassed to ask me anything you want.
Thank you so much, Farhan. So I think the first obvious question that I think everybody had, and we opened up the questions much before. A lot of people have asked me that question about you. And everybody's curious, is your first love music? Is your first love cinema? How did this begin? What's the journey looking like? What went behind it, Farhan? We all will be keen to know.
Firstly, let me just quickly say hello to everybody who's watching in. It really is quite a pleasure to be here, talking to all of you and answering your questions. As far as my love for music and film goes, it really is my need almost per se to want to entertain people. I think that's really where it comes from. All my life, I've been very fascinated by the entertainment industry. So be it music or be it film, it's something that I've always felt very, very drawn to from the time that I was a child. The fact that I have been given opportunities to be able to express myself in both those fields is something that I'm very, very grateful for. For me, I have like the love that I have for my audiences, for my fans. It's because of them, that we get to do what we do. I mean, if they weren't watching, if they weren't listening, we wouldn't be having this conversation at all, right?
Sure. Great. A great insight, Farhan. And Farhan, my wife and my daughter, I mean, both belong to different age groups, of course, very different genres. Both of them think that you're an intellectual genius. Yeah. So when we look at your movies and we follow your movies intensely, I mean, the intensity in which I see different age groups following you is amazing. And you might have heard this before. But, Zindagi Mein Na Milegi Dobara is one movie that we watched together. I don't know how many times. But it's different genres. I think what my daughter looks in that movie is very different. What my wife looks at is different. What I perhaps do is different. But what's that magic? What is it? What's that common thread that's bringing in different generations together in your work?
It is difficult to say. I feel the minute we try to dissect something and try to find some kind of logic or some kind of technical knowledge about what is it about a piece of work, about music, about a story, about a painting, about a diamond, that somebody likes, we lose the magic. The fact is that it evokes an emotion out of you. And that emotion, because they're universal feelings. Love is a universal feeling. Age has no role to play in it. Friendship is something that's universal. Feeling low, feeling heartbreak, feeling unbridled joy when you first fall in love. All these things are universal feelings, So I can completely understand why all age groups connect to these kind of movies, because they really are talking about very simple things in terms of human emotion. And that's something that's very difficult to quantify and say, to try and put a rationale to it. I think that's something that sets us apart from machines, and from artificial intelligence, that there is something known as the human psyche, so to speak, and human emotion that is unpredictable. And that is, I feel what works in these films. As far as your wife and your daughter thinking that I'm some kind of an intellectual genius, please tell them I'm going to send them my mark sheet so that they can change their opinion about me immediately.
Well, I can tell that's just being too humble, Farhan. But we all know what you do, so that's great. And Farhan, when I was talking to you, most of your movies, I go back Dil Chahta Hai, when I was in college at that time, and then moving further, we grew up with your songs and your work. Rock On came, and then further Zindagi Mein Na Milegi Dobara came, and there's. I actually personally in life, I've been very fortunate to be been blessed with a set of friends I have in Meerut and Delhi and Noida, and I feel really blessed. We are 9 of us, and our 9 girls along with us. We just make a great sort of a group. But every time we're in together, we groove on your songs. We groove on Atrangi. It's the most valuable song for us. Now I've seen this thread going on all your movies. Tell me, who are your friends? It can't be just creative thinking. It has to be some real stuff happening there. And we'd be quite curious to know.
I have a lot of friends who, I don't know if you would know or people who are watching this would know, because they're not related to the entertainment field in any way. They're from different walks of life. But there are people who I've known for like 30 years, 35 years, who've really been a part of this, my absolute inner circle. We've had many experiences. Some of them have reflected in the films that you mentioned. Dil Chahta Hai was hugely inspired from not really per se from events that took place. I mean, a few things I have borrowed, but from the feeling of friendship. And it has been something. As far as relationships in my life go, I've been very dependent on my friends for emotional stability. I've been very dependent on them for any kind of support that I've needed through my years. It's not that my parents haven't been there for me or that my sister hasn't been there for me. It's not about that, but I've always somehow just inadvertently looked towards my closest friends when it's been a time of really, when it's like a time of reckoning or a time of soul searching. Those are the people that I've always turned to. So that, I think, reflects in my choice of work. Probably it reflects in the fact why films like Dil Chahta Hai, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, Rock On. Also, I mean, films that we've produced, so like a film like Fukre, for example, where friendship plays a very, very important part.
Awesome. That's so cool to know. Just moving a little away from your work, Farhan, what I'm wearing on my chest very proudly is the sign of he for she. It's something that we at De Beers proudly support over the last few years. And gender equality is a very important aspect to us. And we've had Mr.
Absolutely.
Bruce Cleaver, who is a CEO, and he sort of pushes that across the industry. And the fact that there should be equal opportunity for men and women without they being born male or female has been so relevant for us. And if you look at our product, diamonds, 90% of diamonds get consumed by women. But when I look at our workforces, the situation is completely different. So we as an industry are trying to make that change, and we've come a short way. And there's a long way ahead of us. But tell me your insight on why you are supporting this. What's your theme behind it? What can we learn from your sort of support and angle?
Right. Well, I grew up in a household that was predominantly like female centric. I grew up with my mom and with my sister. And because of that, my mom had a lot of her sisters and my cousins that would come and stay with us at the time. And so I was predominantly surrounded by women. And then, of course, the relationships that you have, my marriage, my two daughters, and now the relationship that I'm in. So I've always been surrounded by very, very strong women. And when I see girls, women who haven't had an opportunity to express themselves, whether professionally, whether personally, or to be able to have control over their own bodies in the way that any person should have the right to have, it's something that has troubled me for a long, long time. And I did feel very strongly about wanting to not just, sit and rant about it or vent my frustration at times when, incidents occurred that would really, really raise your blood temperature. So I started a foundation called MARD in 2013, which MARD is an acronym. It stands for Men Against Rape and Discrimination. And I was doing a lot of groundwork in colleges, going and engaging with young boys and young girls. The focus really being young boys and getting them to redefine their concept of masculinity. That was what I was hoping to do with it. So not to think, because we are fed in a patriarchal society, you are fed impulses. You're told that if you're a man, you have to be strong. If you're a man, you have to be the go-getter. If you're a man, you should not cry. If you're a man, you cannot be weak. And there's a role playing that kind of develops. You don't even realize that you're doing it. So to kind of just reintroduce them to the feminine side of masculinity, that it's totally fine to be sensitive. It is totally fine to feel sad. It's totally fine to be weak. It's totally fine just to be humble. You don't have to have only aggressive qualities. There can also be a lot of passive qualities that define you. So that really was where it started from. And while I was doing that work, I imagine somewhere there is when the UN Women India program did hear about what I was doing and reached out to me and asked me if I'd be a goodwill ambassador for them. And absolutely, there was no reason for me to not do it. They are doing a tremendous amount of work and great work. Their campaign is phenomenal. It goes across the globe. It's reaching so many people, changing so many lives. So I feel very fortunate to have been a part of it.
Awesome. And I think Farhan, you might know from the he for she direction. Even in the lockdown, we found that there was so much violence against women on domestic fronts that was happening. I mean, since all of us are locked down at homes and perhaps across the world, and I think they've done a great amount of work around that area as well. So there are helplines that you can call in, the support mechanisms that they've sort of constructed across the world. And again, I feel proud that as De Beers, we've been supporting them even during this time for this whole front of what's happening on the domestic front. So you're right, really, really interesting, and fortunately somebody's doing that. Otherwise, there's not too much of work happening right now while everything's been locked down.
Absolutely. And I mean, to have a group like the De Beers group supporting them, it means a lot, because I mean, this culture of thinking of each other as equal is something that is so important in the workplace, and it requires giant groups and giant companies and corporations like yourself to lead the way when it comes to it. So I'm really, really, I congratulate you, and I'm very, very thankful that that you are so supportive and a part of it.
Thank you, Farhan. And Farhan, the theme of our forum this year is meaningful tomorrows. And the whole perspective for us really is that we're trying to push everybody on a sense, where is the consumer going? And lots been changing around COVID. We've all got to realize not just the things that matter, but also who are the people who truly matter. Less is more. There's also concern about, consciousness about what we're consuming. So we're trying to build the whole industry around that. And I again feel proud about the great work that the diamond business has done. And if I were to reflect in your life, looking out to the future from this point on, while we all believe things are only going to get better, if I were to define meaningful tomorrow from your perspective, how do you look at a future from now on?
I really would have hoped that the situation that we've been in for the last 3 or 4 months now, that would, like you're saying, make us reevaluate our priorities as people, and really, know that when things do come to a head, we all are on the same side. We all suffer from the same problems. We all suffer from the same issues. So it does sadden me slightly, actually, that even within a time which was so ripe for introspection, a time that was so ripe to really correct many things that we may have done wrong, I feel not that many steps have been taken. And I feel that people, maybe it's just cabin fever at times, that you're stuck in a house or in a room and you need to vent and rant. But I feel that the exchange, because it's predominantly been across social media and it's predominantly been virtual, like we're doing it now, somehow there's been a lot of anger, there's been a lot of resentment, which has bubbled up to the surface, and that somehow saddens me. I do wish that this time could have been used more constructively, to just kind of spiritually move on, to a place of like higher knowledge and higher learning about ourselves. Maybe I'm wrong in feeling that that's not happened, but I don't feel that it has, unfortunately.
Right. A fair point, Farhan. I think your point of view comes from where you are, but I think a very, very important, a fair point. And just maybe to end our conversation, Farhan, I believe I'm a die-hard optimist about India and what's going to happen in our fine country, what the future holds. And while we are in a very multi-global environment, we always get the focus on India. And right now, all the audience is predominantly from India, while we have people from over 40 countries right now on. But, looking into the future of the diamond business, I'm certain we're gonna be the leaders, drive it forward. But what's your one message to all of us? How it's not, I believe it's not just end of all. We've gone through a pandemic, we've seen more behind us, but I would love to have one message from you to all of us, Farhan.
It's I really feel, you all have been, when you say we will be the leaders, I would actually say that you have been leading for a very, very long time. So more power to you. But really, I do feel I'm as much of an optimist about our country, our future, as you are. I feel India has a very strong and a very vibrant democracy. And the Indian people, at the end of it, at the end of everything that goes down, are people who do care about each other, who do care about their children. They care about their children's futures. So I always feel very, very optimistic about the future of this country. But as far as messaging, as giving you any kind of message, I feel the important thing that we've learned is the simplest thing, which is just to learn to be kind to each other. I think that is something that is really, really important. We stop to listen. We should stop to listen. We should stop to care. I feel those things are important. So, as long as everyone can just make a basic effort that as and when somebody needs it, to just be kind, to be there for them, I think that in itself is a great beginning.
Awesome, Farhan, awesome. And a lot of people would be coming to you to say, Farhan, can you sing us one of our favorite song and requests and stuff? Can I ask you, Farhan, what's your most favorite song? And would you like to sing one line of Unplugged of your favorite song, Farhan? And then we get to a real rock show that everybody's waiting for.
Well, we're doing 6 songs now for you after this, which on some level is kind of an unplugged set in any case. It's one guitar, one percussive instrument, and me. But I think more than a song, because you're going to hear quite a bit of it now. What I think may be nice to share with your audience is maybe if you want a poem from Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, because that's not a part of the set that we are planning on doing. Is that all right?
That'll be amazing. All yours. The stage is yours, Farhan. Please, go for it.
दिलों में तुम अपनी बेताबियां लेके चल रहे हो तो जिंदा हो तुम, नजर में ख्वाबों की बिजलियां लेके चल रहे हो तो जिंदा हो तुम, हवा के झोंकों के जैसे आजाद रहना सीखो, तुम एक दरिया के जैसे लहरों में बहना सीखो, हर एक लम्हे से तुम मिलो खोले अपनी बाहें, हर एक पल एक नया समा देखे ये निगाहें, जो अपनी आंखों में हैरानियां लेके चल रहे हो तो जिंदा हो तुम, दिलों में तुम अपनी बेताबियां लेके चल रहे हो तो जिंदा हो तुम.
Awesome, Farhan. That was just amazing, amazing, amazing. And we are virtuous. I can only clap. Rest everybody, I'm sure, is cheering for it. So thank you again, Farhan, from the bottom of my heart to be here. And we can't wait to lock you perform. Thank you very much, Farhan, to be here.
Coming right up.
Super. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Nice talking to you.
Same here.